too hard to do this, it's too hard to do that, it's, how do I do, I'm not going to have the time to do this, I'm not going to have the time to do that. So over the years, it's kind of just keeps pushing me in this direction. And when I first learned about nutrition, it just seemed to get more and more complicated. The more you learn about it, it's like, oh my God, okay, I've got to have, good quality meats. But what's good quality meat? Well, we've got to have grass-fed. Okay, well, you get grass-fed, then it's got to be grass-finished, and then you've got to cook it the right way as well. So you can't overcook it. If you cook, you glycate it. If you cook it too high temperatures. So it just seems to get harder and harder. The more you learn, you realise it's more complicated. But if we can create a lifestyle where it's just part of that lifestyle and there's more people doing it and you can talk with those people and they're living it, then it doesn't seem so overwhelming for people. And it just, if it's part of, like I've got, probably 100 people that I would say that are living it in a really good way, where it's just relaxed, it's calm, it's not this, counting calories, having to measure all these different things and stressing about this, am I doing this right? And actually stressing themselves out more about what they're actually doing rather than just doing it. And that in itself is, quite hard on people psychologically, because they're like, is this the right thing? Is this the right thing? And should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And that can be, it can shut down people, it's kind of paralysis by analysis. So they're just over-analysing everything that they have to do. So for me, the biggest thing was to try and create a really simple approach to it that you could build upon. So a good place to start. So what are some of the things that we could all agree on here today? Having whole fresh food would be definitely one. And I think everyone can agree that reducing carbohydrates or reducing refined foods and processed foods, definitely one thing that we can all do. And if we're looking at an approach to give to the masses, to encourage them, they've got to have it in stages that they can actually take on board and realistically integrate into their life. Because if it's too much, it's just more stress. And if you look at the quality of produce, then that adds a whole nother level of stress to people. Why is that? Why would, if you're looking at the quality of the produce, add stress to people's life? The cost of it. So what do you think probably the number one thing is when people come to me and I'm like, oh, you've got to get this meat and this type of produce? What do they say straight away? Oh, I can't afford it. But it's really looking at your whole lifestyle and where are all the leaks with your money. So what are you spending your money on? And, once you feel good, you can't really replace that. And you realise that it's really a worthwhile endeavour to put your money into it. But you've got to feel that first. And if you haven't felt that, you don't know it. So you're not going to buy it straight away. So I think for me, this was a really big step for me, was to see, all these different people come through and actually have people that are feeling it, and having those people convince people instead of me trying to convince them in a one-on-one consult, because I found that was quite challenging. Even if you look good and even if you kind of got all this energy and everything, that just kind of motivates them in the session. They go away unless they can get a response from that fast enough to maintain that momentum and to keep going with it. I found it was quite hard to keep people on that path. And when it comes to all the things that we've spoken about today, like eating all this extra fat and that being very scary for people, because what happens? I have the wife or the husband or one of the kids come and see me, and what do you think happens after they come and see me and they get really excited about doing this? What happens when they go home? Yeah, they get shut down. Now, I've got whole families that come and see me. So Ron comes and his two daughters come and his future son-in-law comes. Yeah. But that's what makes me happy, because then you can see this whole effect, echoing through the community, and that's quite beautiful, rather than you having this constant battle with people, where you kind of, getting someone inspired and they get shut down by a family member or one of their friends. Oh, you shouldn't do that. And I think it's right that we all question what we do, and that's what, everyone here today has kind of got some good arguments to take home now. But you don't want it to be that way. You want it to be a beautiful process that everyone can kind of agree on things and feel good about, because if you're upset about what you're doing, then how's that going to affect your digestion? It's Is it going to make you feel good inside when you have to go home and try and force your husband to do something or convince your children to do something? And you know that it's beneficial for them and it's beneficial for you, but they don't believe it. How does that make you feel inside? Not too good. And then, if it's this constant battle of trying to convince them as well. And that only, really occurred to me because of the amount of time I was spending with people, where over years it accumulates, and you really realise is what I'm doing really working for people? And when I was just seeing clients one-on-one, I think I was definitely helping people, but nowhere near what I am now. And this is a really simple business model. I've got people, they think they're just coming for exercise, which is great, and that's kind of like the marketing tool. I make all the exercise really fun and everything, and it's all fancy and all of that, but really it doesn't need to be. But when they come there, the food's there and there's an opportunity for them. And then there's people around that are into it as well, so it makes it a lot easier. So this is actually my butcher here. He's up the back of the room. Here he is with his baby training. So I think what people don't realise about nutrition is that it's really important to trace it right back to where it comes from. I think probably here most people do. But there's a big difference in what we're purchasing. And, if we're just getting even grass-fed beef at the supermarket, well, not the supermarket, but if we're going somewhere else and you're getting grass-fed beef there, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's all the way to slaughter it's been on grass. And even in that last 6 weeks of its life, just to fatten the animal up, they can really change the nutritional structure of that animal just to make some more money at the end stage, and then what you pay for and you think you're getting grass-fed is not actually what you're after. So I was fortunate enough to inspire one of my clients, and he's a good friend of mine, to open a butcher shop and support farmers that are doing the right thing. This is one of them, Peter Clay. He calls himself a grass farmer. I think like most of the people that are doing a good job now with pastoral-based agriculture, that's their focus, and then a result of growing good grasses, you get great grass-fed beef. And what he does, he grows them right out, and then he takes them or he gets them slaughtered himself rather than selling them off at the end stage, and then somebody else putting extra weight on the animal with grains and making some extra money there. But the end result is, something like this, which has been slow cooked, which we serve in our cafe, which makes it very easy for people to at least try these things, and then they can get inspired to go, and they can see how it's been prepared in the cafe, and they go, okay, well, I could actually do that. It's not that hard. How many people here cook for themselves? Yeah, so this is great. Very different. What do you think that picture would look like if we had general populations in here? Very different. And that's a sad thing as well. So when I transitioned, I didn't just go straight into having a gym because financially I've known a lot of trainers that have kind of exited a one-on-one business that they ran inside like a large commercial gym, like Fitness First, and then transitioned into a smaller studio and went under, or didn't make that transition smoothly. So what I did, I actually had a home studio and had the kitchen and the gym side by side, and that worked quite well. And that gave me the opportunity to educate and show people how to cook, and show people what I was eating, not just tell them. And that's much more powerful. And then having a gym where we have a cafe where we serve it, and people eat it, and then talk about it and all of that, and then sell them the produce as well and show them how to do it, has made a big difference.